Hello everyone. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. It is the second of a series of webinars and in-person presentations that the Department of Mines, Industry Regulation and Safety will be presenting over the next 4 or more weeks on the new work health and safety legislation. My name is Ivor Roberts. I'm an Executive Director within the Safety Regulation Group of the Department. It is my division that is overseeing the development and implementation of the new work health and safety laws. I'd like to commence this webinar with an acknowledgement to country. The Department of Mines, Industry Regulation and Safety acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the traditional custodians of this land on which we deliver our services. We pay our respects to elders and leaders past, present and emerging. The purpose of our session today is to provide you with an update on the government's proposals for the work health and safety laws, and in particular, the work health and safety mines regulation. My colleague, Anna Latry, will deliver a 15-minute presentation. There will then be 45 minutes to ask questions. Anna Latry is a qualified mining engineer with a Bachelor of Engineering degree in mining and a Master's degree in geotechnical engineering. He has nearly 49 years work experience in or with the Australian mining industry, also in the United States, Zambia and India. Anil is a Senior Inspector of Mines in the Mines Safety Directorate of the Department and is the Lead Departmental Officer in the development of the Work Health and Safety Mines Regulation. After Anil's presentation, you have the opportunity to have your questions on the mines regulations answered. To ask a question, go to Slido and use the code WHS2. We encourage you to ask questions. Anil, over to you to give your update presentation.
Sorry, I'll start again. My name is Anil Latry. Thanks, Ivor, for my introduction. We'll be talking about work health and safety mines regulations. These have been already placed on our website. The act under which these regulations will work is Work Health and Safety Act 2020. The act was passed in 2020, and there are 3 sets of regulations, and each one of these regulations are independent of each other. How they interact is, I'll explain briefly. Work health and safety, petroleum and geothermal energy operations, wherever they apply, the other 2 regulations will not apply. Say, for example, there is a pipeline which carries gas and it goes to a mine. Questions have been raised whether this will be under the control of mine operator or under the WHS PAGEO regulations. PAGEO regulations will apply and mines regulations will not apply to that. Mines regulations will apply to all the mines, and the general regulations will apply to all work sites where PAGEO or mines regulations do not apply. Now, the jurisdiction of the WHS mines regulations will depend, as is the present case, with the definition of mining operation. The definition of mining operation has not been changed. It is the same definition as it was in the Mine Safety and Inspection Act. Those who are familiar with the definition, it defines where is the jurisdiction, and then it includes, for clarity, certain inclusions and there are certain exclusions. There is one exclusion added. Currently, the mining operation includes public ports, but in future, the public ports which are under the Port Authority Act and are managed and controlled by Port Authority will not be under this, and the WHS general regulations will apply to those facilities. Now, the mines regulations are a combination of the general regulations and mine specific regulations. WHS general regulations are based on the model WHS regulations of 2019. Those, most of those regulations are replicated in the mines regulations as well. Uh, for those who work, especially the contractors who work in the mining industry and elsewhere, they will be very familiar with the general regulations. And in fact, the numbers in the general regulations and in the mine regulations will be very much aligned. Only the additional regulations which apply to mines will have a different number. Also, we made a commitment, and this has been included in the regulations. If a particular subject matter is covered in the general area as well as in the mines area, then a cross-reference is provided so that a reader gets the full picture. As I said earlier, most of the general regulations are replicated. There are a few changes which are listed here. The first one is the high-risk work license. Now, currently, under the mine safety and inspection regulations, anyone who drives a crane, etc., and does a high-risk work, they need to be licensed under the OSH regulations. Similar provisions will continue to apply. A requirement to have a high-risk work license will be in the mines regulations, but a person must obtain that license under the general regulations. Asbestos removalist license. This is a new requirement for mines. Currently, any removal of asbestos can be done without a license, but in future, they will need a class A or B license. The only difference is that for naturally occurring asbestos, those provisions will not apply. There will be a transition period because this is a new requirement. There will be a transition period of 1 year. Similarly, demolition work license is a new requirement. Uh, and we will provide a transition period of 1 year for that as well. Registration of classified plant. The mines regulation, that is the mine safety and inspection regulation, and OSH regulations have some differences in what plants need to be registered, particularly the design registration. Now these will be streamlined, and all the requirements will be in the general regulations. The registration requirement will be in the general regulations, but the mines regulations will specify that these listed plants must be registered. General construction induction training. Currently, there is no requirement in mines to have that card, but under the new legislation, that requirement will be added, and there will be a transition period to obtain that license. As far as mines related regulations are concerned, these are in chapter 10 of the book. Most of the duties in the chapter 10 are of the mine operator, which is different from the other chapters because in other chapters, most of the duties are with the PCBU, person conducting business or undertaking. The most significant difference from the mine safety and inspection regulations to the WHS mines regulations is the importance given to deal with the hazards and the associated risk using the risk management principles. That will help in removing a lot of prescriptive regulations which are currently in the mine safety and inspection regulations. This table shows how many regulations we have on a particular subject in the mine safety inspection regulations, and these numbers will be reduced significantly. As you see, explosives, currently there are 57 regulations in chapter 8. In the WHS mines regulations, there will be only one regulation. Similarly, on contaminants and ventilation, there are regulations in chapter 9 as well as in chapter 7. There are about 37. These will be reduced, 2 in the general regulations and 21 in mines regulations. Underground mining, there are about 60 regulations in chapter 10, and these will be reduced to 3. Winding systems, it's a big chapter in the mines regulations. Chapter 11 has got 89 regulations, and these will be reduced to 3. And there will be, like under the chapter 11, the mine operator must get an approval before a winding system can be used. That will be changed to the notification. Similarly, shaft sinking, the approval will be changed to notification, and 19 regulations will be reduced to 1. Surface operations, 15 regulations will be reduced to 1, and dredging approval will not be required. It will be changed to notifications, and 9 regulations will be reduced to 1. The new addition in the mines regulations, and which is a significant and the most important thing, is the introduction of mine safety management system. The requirement is a big shift, and it will allow the mine operators, depending on the nature of their mining operation, the size of their mining operation, to develop their own mine safety management system. Now, because this is a new requirement, there will be a transition period, 1 year for the development and another 1 year for the implementation of the mine safety management system. Mine safety management system is again developed based on the risk management principles. The mine operator must state its safety policy, must indicate what it is trying to achieve through the mine safety management system, and then develop tools to achieve those requirements and implement all the controls. A few things which are necessary to be included in the mine safety management system, as details of the risk management process. As I already said, the risk management is the key for the development of the mine safety management system. And as a result of that process, you would develop various procedures, plans, and processes as controls to manage hazards and associated risk. Another important feature is the management and supervisory structure. It has been noted through our investigations that supervisory uh, requirements need to be strengthened, and that is why that forms an important part of the mine safety management system. The knowledge of workers and their competence is to be achieved through induction, information, and training. Uh, I have again said supervision because there is an additional requirement to have a statutory supervisor, and this has been added because we felt this part needs to be strengthened. And again, the mine operator must allocate sufficient resources for the implementation of the mine safety management system. Contractor management, it is quite important, as we know that mines generally operate through various contractors. First part is that the mine operator must say how the mine operator will manage the contractors. Plus, there is an additional requirement. Any job to be done at a mine site either has to be done under the mine safety management system developed by the mine operator, which the contractor must accept, or the contractor must have its own WHS health and safety management system, and that must be approved by the mine operator. A few important documents that form part of the mine safety management system are Principal Mining Hazard Management Plan. A principal mining hazard has been defined in the legislation, and uh, every mine operator must identify all the principal mining hazards and develop controls to manage those hazards. The next one is an emergency plan. Emergency plan is not a new requirement. It is in the mine safety and inspection regulations, but this will form part of the mine safety management system. Health management plan. Currently, the department has encouraged mine operators to develop health and hygiene management plan. That is now uh, will will be converted into a health management plan, but the requirements are very similar to health and hygiene management plan. Radiation management plan is currently in the mine safety and inspection regulations, and it needs to be approved, and it will continue to be approved by the regulator. Underground ventilation plan, there is no difference. This is a requirement of the mine safety, sorry, the MSIR as well. We are moving away from a lot of approvals which are required under the Mine Safety and Inspection Act and Mine Safety and Inspection Regulations. The very first one is the notice. When you give a notice of commencement, the state mining engineer under section 42 must approve. And for that purpose, a mine operator must submit a project management plan. Uh, that approval will not be required. Only a notice of commencement will be required. Similarly, for winders, as I said earlier, currently you need an approval, but that will be changed into a notification. Same principles will apply to sinking a shaft or starting a dredging operations. There will be notifications required for these, and there are few additional activities which are given in a schedule of the mine safety, work health and safety mines regulations. As I said earlier, radiations, whatever approvals are currently required, they will continue to be required under the new legislation. Questions have been asked about the statutory positions. The current certificated current certificates will continue to be retained. There are few uh, statutory positions as we have under the Mine Safety and Inspection Act and regulations. These positions will be retained under the new legislation, but as I said earlier, the position of statutory supervisor will be added. One of the new requirements for most of these statutory positions will be competency in the risk management process. Uh, as a conclusion, as I said earlier, that the mine safety management system is a new requirement, and every mine operator should start developing a mine safety management system for their mines. Prescriptions will be removed and approvals will be minimized, and they will be replaced by notifications.